Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Committee on Taxation. We're here for a work session on two bills. We'll start with introductions. I don't see Senator Libby or Pooley up with us. We'll start with Representative Bickford. Go ahead.
Good morning. I'm Representative Bruce Bickford. I represent House District 63, which is part of Auburn.
All right. And Representative Matlack.
Good afternoon. My name is Ann Matlack. I represent House District 92, which includes the communities of Cushing, Thomaston, South Thomaston, St. George, Matinicus, Creehaven, and the Muscle Ridge Islands.
And Representative Collings, go ahead.
Good afternoon. I'm Benjamin Collings. I represent House District 42, part of the city of Portland.
And Representative Stutkus.
Good afternoon. I'm Joel Stutkus. I serve the people of District 105, which are the towns of Canaan, Palmyra, St. Albans, Heartland, Ripley, and Cambridge. And it is afternoon in my time zone in Canaan, apparently not in Auburn.
And go ahead, Representative Perry. Representative Perry, can you hear us?
There he is. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Joe Perry. I represent part of Bangor and part of Orono in the main house.
All right. And Representative Terry, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mo Terry. I represent District 26, the west side of Gorham, and I serve as House Chair.
And I'm Senator Ben Chipman. I serve as Senate Chair of the committee. We also have Lena Braun with us as our committee clerk, as well as Julie Jones, our committee analyst. We're here for work sessions on two bills that we have left to finish as a committee. Apologies to the public and those watching about the late notice of the work session scheduled for this afternoon. Apologies for that. Hope that people can be with us and participate as much as possible. I guess we'll start the work session on your bill, Representative Terry, since you're here on LD 2030. And we'll let Julie, I guess, walk us through the analysis on that. Julie, can you? Oh, you're muted, Julie. Yeah, that's okay. There you go. Go ahead.
I can bring up the bill chart that you had for Wednesday because it's the same two bills that you worked on that day.
Yeah, that's fine.
Screen share, bill chart, share. Okay, there it is. LD 2030 is Representative Terry's bill, an act regarding taxation of energy storage facilities and equipment. The bill proposes two tax benefits for energy storage facilities and equipment. One is a sales tax exemption for sales of commercial energy storage systems, parts and accessories for such a system, and materials for the construction, repair, and maintenance of such a system. The bill also provides for coverage under the business equipment tax exemption, commonly referred to as BETI, to be available for energy storage systems, which are defined as commercial equipment, facilities, or devices that are capable of absorbing energy, storing energy for a period of time, and discharging the energy after it has been stored. You had quite a few comments at the public hearing on Wednesday. You could probably recall most of them. I know that Maine Revenue Services has indicated that they have issues with lack of clarity and some technical administrative issues as well that they had hoped to have time to address. And I know Maine Municipal Association raised concerns about whether there should be more consideration of the property tax exemption considerations here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Thank you, Julie. Just Lena, we have a Representative Hanley is looking for the link to come in. If you could send that to him. And then do we know if Maine Revenue, I don't see them here, if there's someone that could reach out to them to see if they can join us. I don't know if they got word that we're meeting or not. Has anybody heard from Maine Revenue at all? Or
I just went to Michael Allen. I was looking for the other ones, then I'm going to send them the link.
Okay. So while you're sending the link to him, Representative Hanley, we can have some committee discussion. Go ahead, Representative Bickford.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure who can answer this, but isn't the basis of this bill because of MRS's interpretation of this being a generation source or something, which it clearly isn't? And is the whole basis of this bill that they're maybe overstepping their thought process here?
Go ahead, Representative Terry.
I think that's my understanding. I mean, I would like to hear from, oh, it looks like Dr. Allen is here. I'm going to promote him to come in. But yeah, I was under the same impression, Bruce, that it's very explicit that Betty does not include public utilities, which would be where that generation part comes in. But this is not that. They sell to the public utility, but they don't, and they sell to the public utility these storage units, but they can also sell to other things as well. So it seems to me like it should be on there, but I understand, the need for it to be more explicit in the language that it does allow this. Dr. Allen, I'm so sorry to
Dr. Allen,
probably interrupt your lunch.
Are you able to join us, Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Oh, sorry for the short notice on the meeting. We've had things going on around that I won't get into now, but appreciate the fact you can be with us on short notice, and want to know if you have additional information to provide on LD 2030.
Only that we have had numerous meetings and long discussions, and we're just still trying to wrap our heads around sort of the understanding exactly what these facilities are and what the science is around them. Been doing a lot of searching on the internet to get an understanding of that, looking at what federal laws, other state laws are to this. It's clearly not. It's an emerging sector, I guess. I mean, I can find things going back to 2017, 2018 that talk about these battery storage facilities. But there does seem to be this distinction between a facility that's attached to a renewable energy generating facility as opposed to a standalone and a battery storage facility. And I think we're just trying to understand how that fits into current property tax and sales tax law. And then once we understand that, what changes would be necessary. And I think the other concern that we have is to make sure we understand what the impact would be for any change that's proposed. Is it narrowly focused on the type of facility that was speaking to the committee the other day, or would it have broader implications? So, I mean, I wish I could tell you that we were further than that, but I can assure you that we have spent quite a bit of time talking it through.
Yeah, and I know you were with us on Wednesday and had asked for a little bit more time, and I know it's been a couple of days, but I know you have a lot going on and everything. Representative Terry, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dr. Allen, I have two things. One is the amendment that was written that we all received on Wednesday kind of focuses in on this particular type of storage unit versus, where it comes from and where it goes. It makes it so it's
Yes, sir.
part of that battery storage system versus what you were saying earlier about coming in from one place and going out to essentially the same place, storing their own electricity. It sounds like what it sounds to me like the amendment specifically states that, but I don't know if you've had a chance to look through that and see if that amendment makes sense to you as written.
We've seen the amendment, and that's the amendment, that's the language that we're currently studying
Okay.
and using as a reference point.
Okay,
Uh,
and is the basic issue here with these types of companies using the Betty credit that it goes into the public utility or could go into the public utility? Is that the
I,
biggest
I-
issue?
I think we have other people in the waiting room that can probably address that better. The bill has property tax and sales tax ramifications.
Right.
And those laws can be different in terms of their definitions and language about what may or may not be eligible under
Okay,
current law. And then trying to understand the amendment language and as to what extent it would apply. Because it talks about 1 megawatt.
right. So we have, it looks like we have Mr. D'Alessandro and Mr. Lacy in the room. Is it okay, Senator, if I ask both of them the same question?
Yeah, I just promoted them because they
Yeah. Okay, cool.
need help. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. And then I think I believe I saw Mr. Block's name in the attendee room. And I believe he was one of the original writers of the Betty exemption. So I would love it if he could come in and tell us sort of if this is, I think he would have to probably be a futurist and be able to understand what the future is, but perhaps he can tell us why maybe this is not that, maybe this type of company can qualify for the Betty credit already. So, but maybe Mr. Lacy could start.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Lacy. Maybe you could help shed some light on the recent questions.
Good afternoon. Thank you. I think I missed the question when I was going from a attendee to a panelist. So if you could repeat what the question was, I'd appreciate it.
No problem. No problem. So my question, I guess, I think I said it about 15 minutes too long, but I believe the gist of my question is, do you think that the company, there was a company that applied for this as a Betty credit and they were denied, and by looking at it, it seems to me like the reason that they were denied is because there was misunderstanding or not understanding how this storage system works, how energy storage works versus how public utilities work. Clarifying that in the language seems like a way to have them qualify for it. And I'm wondering if there's something that we're missing here that helps you guys understand what kind of businesses we're talking about here, that it's a storage business only, and where the energy comes from and where the energy goes is not really the focus of this.
So I think, historically, the way the Betty exclusions were set up, more or less everything from the beginning of the generation up to the line to your house was excluded, either via the fact that it was owned by a public utility or as a result of that, the two-thirds exclusion that where this language is going in. So I think the denial, and I don't know who, I'm not sure I assume it must have been in the town, but where the denial came from, I think that was where it's coming from, is that historically everything included in that stream, be it the generation stuff, the transmission, distribution, has all been excluded from Betty. Now, when Betty was written, storage wasn't a thing. You know, I mean, that the fundamentals of the grid are you can't store electricity. That's why they have, you know, the Wyman plant in Yarmouth and these other things to kick on when demand's there. So you know, was it considered at the time? You know, Mr. Block could probably speak more to that because he was involved at the time. But that, I think, has been the position that Maine Revenue Service has been operating under, is that everything basically up to your house and that in that thing is excluded from Betty.
Okay.
So.
Representative Bickford, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to clarify and ask a question of Dr. Allen, if he's still here. I don't see him, but
He's here. Yep.
okay. So my question is, or my point of clarification, I guess, is that you made a comment about, well, is this storage just from one entity or another? And I believe the way I understood this is that this is broad storage. This is storage from all entities that put power onto the grid. Can somebody clarify that for me? Is that correct? It's all
Yeah.
power. Okay, so there's no one or two singled out entities that are putting power into this storage. And I guess the question I have for Dr. Allen is, how long do you need to finish reviewing this so we can get to it and make a educated vote?
I think if we could have to the middle of next week,
Okay.
we'd like to get back to our colleagues in the energy office as well to confer with them.
And would you also work with the other entities that are in this bill to see if you can work out with them what their intent is and
Yes,
make
we're happy
it
to.
workable?
Yes,
Okay.
we're happy to work with anybody that
All
the
right.
committee would like us to work with to get something.
Excellent.
Okay.
Representative Carey, go ahead.
I think Representative Steckes was ahead of me.
Sorry, Representative Steckes, you were first. Go ahead.
Thank you. So Representative Bickford just asked a question that answered some of my question. The other question would be sort of along the lines of that is, what are the prospective sites? I mean, are they going to be, I guess, how are they looking to apply this at this point? Is it mostly going to be, at least at this point, built alongside a solar farm? And if it's solar that they're mostly targeting at this point in time, would it be like an add-on to an existing solar farm, or is it built at the same time by basically the same contractor as the solar farm?
Go ahead, Representative Terry.
I think actually Ms. Robinson, who's in the waiting room, can answer Representative Steckes specifically.
I just promoted her so we can, she can come in. Maybe she can answer that question for him.
Cool, thank you. And in the meantime, can I ask Mr. Lacy, can I ask you a quick question?
Certainly.
About the, you had said before that the, pole to or I guess, yeah, pole to house or generation to house does not qualify for Betty. But what happens in this storage unit if they don't use that power? Like if the buildings are there, but then they're not used and taken away and brought someplace else, maybe even out of state, then it's not really part of our power system at all, because it's just a storage facility. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess, are you asking about the things that are the equipment that's not the kind of battery itself?
No, the battery itself. The battery itself, from what from from the little bit of homework that I've done on it, they are stored in, essentially, they look like truck boxes.
Yep.
What happens when those truck boxes are removed and sold someplace else? Like it seems to me like it's like it doesn't have to be there from generation to house, or to the house, to the home.
Yep.
So like how is that? So that's not going to be part of our public utilities, no matter how you slice it, if they use it for storage and then sell it elsewhere.
You mean sorry.
The pads,
Yes, correct.
yes,
So the exclusion that's currently in there for generation, it's where the property's located, not where the energy's going.
Okay, got it.
Does that make sense?
Right. So yes.
It's just if it's generating electricity and 2/3 or more of it is hitting the grid, then it's currently excluded.
Okay.
So
Go ahead, Representative Hanley.
Thank you, Senator. Sorry, I was a little late getting in here. So
Thank you for coming.
just to be clear, we're not talking about generators. We are
Yeah.
talking about storage.
Yeah.
That's all a battery does. It doesn't generate, it doesn't produce, it only stores and releases, okay? Is there anyone from the Governor's Energy Office or the Public Utilities Commission or the Office of the Public Advocate here today that can answer questions? Or if I give you a list of questions, can we get some answers?
I'm not sure. We have some people with us. I'm not sure if they're with any of those offices, though. Can someone raise their hand if they are with one of those offices?
My question then will be that I'd like to know if the Office of the Public Advocate is taking any type of look at this because of impact to ratepayers, if there is any. We want to know that. I also want to know, what are the size of the projects that are waiting on the sidelines? I'm sure this bill is here because someone must have an indication of size, capacity, and location. Could we get those answers? Anyone here can answer those questions?
I can answer one of them. I can answer a project that is in discussion anyway. There's one in Gorham, and it's a good sized piece of property. Nothing super tiny. It's in our industrial park, so it's not giant, but not insignificant either. I think that there's a couple more smaller projects around the state where I'm not sure though. I would think that perhaps Ms. Robinson might be able to answer that question though.
Okay.
Is the project in Gorham tied to a solar farm, or where?
If I may, the electricity that charges a battery, the battery is agnostic. It doesn't care. Whatever is on the grid is what will charge a battery. It can come from anything.
Yeah.
So, but in my, my very limited experience, these systems aren't usually a one-off. They're a series of batteries.
Mm-hmm.
You have a battery farm in a sense, and they're like you said. No, the size of these batteries seems to be about the size of like a 8x16 box.
Yeah.
They're quite substantial. And I don't believe anyone puts just one in. I think that the cost of scale would not allow it. You'd put a series of them. So
yeah,
it'd be quite an impact on property taxes. They're not going to be $500,000 projects. These are going to be multi-million-dollar projects. I'm guessing. That's why I want to know what we're looking at here.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping I can get some answers about ratepayer impact. And now I'll stop.
If we don't vote today on the bill, can someone maybe Julie, you can invite someone from the Office of the Public Advocate to come next time we meet on it. That might be a good idea. Representative Bickford, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We were waiting for Ms. Robinson to answer Representative Stetkis's question, and I'm sure that Representative Hanley answered already, but it would be good to hear from Ms. Robinson that the battery, as Representative Hanley said, is agnostic. It doesn't care. And they're not, I don't believe, and Ms. Robinson can correct me, but I don't believe any of these are being built next to solar farms for specific solar or wind energy. So Ms. Robinson, can you answer that, please?
Thank you. Ann Robinson on behalf of Plus Power. Yes, this is a standalone facility. Co-sited facilities, co-sited battery facilities are already exempt. And I would also say that the one in Gorham, we're talking about 150 megawatt standalone facility. And then I would also say that my colleague, John Block, is also here and can speak to some of the questions that were asked earlier about the genesis of this legislation and his conversations with MRS, which led to this, if that would be helpful.
Thank you. And Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair, when we're satisfied with questions, I believe we're not going to have enough information today. So when we are ready, I would like you to let me know, and I will make a motion at that time to table this until next week.
Okay. Did we want to hear from Mr. Block?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Block.
Okay, well, thank you. John Block, also here for Plus Power. So as far as the genesis of this in both the Better and Betty programs, there was an intent to exclude power plants and utilities from being able to take advantage of Better or Betty. This originated with Better back in 1995 and carried over into Betty. So things like Maine Yankee and gas generation plants and public utilities that transmit and distribute electricity were all excluded. And there were very few other exclusions. These batteries, as I said, really, they don't generate anything. And so we didn't think they fell within the generation exclusion because batteries store. But I thought we should at least check with Maine Revenue Service to make sure they shared that interpretation before this very large investment was going to be made. And just, a few weeks ago, we learned from Mr. Lacey that Maine Revenue's position at that point, at least, was that these batteries do generate. We don't think that's correct. It's just like the battery in your cell phone. It doesn't generate electricity. It takes electricity in, stores it, and puts the exact same electricity back into service. So, but that created the need for this clarification since we weren't on the same page with Maine Revenue's interpretation, and we had this very large project in Gorham that is sort of hanging in the balance where decisions need to be made the next month or two. So that was the reason for the clarification to Betty. And I think that's all it is a clarification. I don't really think it's adding to Betty or adding new. It's really expanding anything beyond the original interpretation. And as Ms. Robinson said, co-sited, the Gorham project is a standalone facility. It takes energy off of the transmission line when it's not needed and puts it back onto the transmission line when it is needed, when there's a higher demand. It is agnostic as to whether those electrons are coming from hydro or gas plants or solar, wind, whatever the electricity is, it comes off and then it goes on again. But Maine Revenue has already put out guidance that batteries that are located at a solar facility, for example, are eligible for the solar exemption. So this is not that, this is a standalone plant.
Okay, thank you for that. Additional committee discussion. Go ahead, Representative Terry.
Mr. Block, can I just ask, is this a this or this energy storage business. I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything about the future, nor does anybody really, but I've been hearing about this for a very long time. And it seems to me like this is something that we're going to see over and over again as these energy storage businesses start popping up and wanting to get into the Northeast, since we do have such a strong grid here. Do you see that this will, of course, I have a fondness for Gorham, even though it's not in my district, but it's still Gorham. And we've got a couple of other ones in the state already. Do you see these larger facilities popping up more and more in the state, or do you think that this might be a big one and then we'll see a bunch of smaller ones pop up over the course of time?
My understanding is that it's probably the latter, that this is a big one and we'll see smaller ones. And the reason for that is that Plus Power tells me that the transmission grid that we have can only accommodate so many of these big ones.
Yeah.
And that so it's likely that other ones are going to be a smaller scale, say 20 megawatts instead of 150, in different places along the grid where they can be accommodated.
Yeah.
But it's unlikely we'll see too many of, or even any of these really very large ones like is proposed in Gorham.
Yeah. Okay. Thank
Mr.
you.
Block, maybe you can answer my question. I'm not sure, but do you think that something like this can bring down the cost of electricity in the long run, or these type of facilities, or are you not the one to answer that kind of question?
Well, I'm a tax person, but I've definitely been hearing a lot about this, and my understanding is that is the point, that it lessens the need for more expensive peaker plants to be running, like oil plants and gas plants that only run when the electricity price gets, to a certain level, lessens the need for more transmission lines. And so that is kind of the point of it. And it's also really important if we're going to keep moving towards more renewables like solar and wind to be able to store that energy. That's the whole issue with solar and wind. It's not always available. So if you can take it when it's not being used instead of wasting it,
right,
store it in a battery and then put it back out, it eliminates the need to build more power plants or to fire up, a big gas or oil plant that's much more expensive.
Yeah, so like there's a coal-fired power plant on Wyman Station. I don't know if that's still in use, but just use that as an example. That something like that may only be fired up a few, 20 or 30 days out of the year when the peak price is high. So this might eliminate the need for something like that to be fired up in the first place, because we got the energy to put back out during peak demand that's been stored from when it was at low demand.
That is exactly my understanding. Exactly right.
All right. Representative Bickford, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think my question just got answered. When demand is extremely low and we have all of these power sources, that's when the batteries are going to be taking in all the electricity. And there's going to be, I would say, 6 months of the year that they probably won't take any energy in. And that would be, the January, February type, maybe June, July, when the peak is really high. That's when they'll be expending rather than taking in. Is that correct? Can somebody answer that, please?
I think that is the idea. And it may be certain times of the day during those months. Another thing I understand is that basically these things, you can flip a switch and have it dispatch the power, where if you take the Cousins Island plant, that takes several hours to ramp up before it can actually start spitting out electricity, where this is more of a immediate dispatch.
So Mr. Block, I just made me think a little bit about this some more. So when the energy is at low demand, this facility would take energy in and store it. Would that increase the price of low demand energy because it's taking more energy off the grid during low demand and basically increasing demand by the fact of its existence? Or
I don't think so. You're getting a little bit beyond my expertise, but I think that price is established and by the PUC, and it doesn't change until there's a new tariff. But that's a rudimentary understanding on my part.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we could save that for when we have someone from the PUC or something. Somebody more
Can I
about that.
just add to that,
Yeah,
Senator?
go ahead, Representative
Can I
Bickford.
just add to that? No, the PUC does not set pricing. That pricing is set on the day ahead market. So they look at demand, they look at generation and where the generation is. You have times, and you're probably going to see it in April and May, where electricity is going to be less than 2 cents a kilowatt on the PUC on the day, on not PUC, ISO New England day ahead pricing. So you're going to see, you know, it all averages out, but the PUC only accepts bids. That's the only control they have in pricings. They accept the bid that comes out for the next 6 months or year.
Right. I mean, I'm just wondering if the facility will itself increase demand during low times, because it's going to be taking in energy during that time that otherwise wouldn't be taken in by anybody. And so would that increase that price? I don't know. I don't know
I
enough
think,
about it.
yeah, it just won't be wasted.
Yeah. Oh, it won't be. Okay. So energy is wasted and this will keep it from being wasted. Okay. Go ahead, Representative Terry.
So I just wanted to bring it back to taxation. It's really hard because this is so out of our wheelhouse for all of us, because we're a very curious bunch, I know. But for as far as like the taxation part of this goes, the fact that we are excluding that we are not allowing a company that basically just has storage units, you know, whatever they are, it is not allowed to be used for this program. Again, I kind of want to go back to you know, what we're asking the legislature to do here, which is to expand the program enough so that storage units, whether they're for energy or couches, should be part of the Betty program. And that's really what it comes down to. I mean, yes, I think that there is something in there that you know, as Mr. Lacy was saying, that there is this whole, you know, where the energy goes, what's in the storage unit goes means something for sure. But again, I think as far as taxation goes and for our exemptions, are we all in agreement? And maybe we have to wait, but are we all in agreement that this is not a generation thing, it is a storage thing? And should we be keeping it, should it be allowed to be included in the Betty program? So I think we should all sit in on EUT or maybe just have lunch with Jeff and Melanie on a regular basis, and I think we'll be okay. But if we could keep it to taxation, that'd be great.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Go ahead, Mr. Lacy. You got your hand up.
Thank you. Sorry, I did want to clarify, as far as the current Betty exclusion is for property that produces or transmits electricity. So it's I know the generation thing is what we're kind of focused on, but it is, you know, the current exclusion as written is equipment that produces or transmits electricity. So
that's where the glitch is. Got it.
And I would also add, I just want to point out too, so one of the other kind of like ways that one of the other little glitches is the reference to solar. So solar, you know, as Mr. Block mentioned, we've issued guidance saying that batteries that are attached to solar equipment is eligible for the solar exemption. The solar exemption is limited to property that produces electricity. And so our position that the batteries are part of the production process is kind of essential to them being eligible under there.
You repeat that?
So we're getting kind of down into the weeds, which I didn't really want to do, but there's basically there's an exemption and exclusion we're talking about here. The solar exemption is for property that produces solar or wind equipment that produces electricity, produces energy. And so we made a determination at Maine Revenue that the batteries that are connected to a solar farm are part of the production process, are producing electricity. And so that is why we determined they were eligible for the solar exemption. The Betty exclusion is property that produces or transmits electricity. And so if you say the batteries don't produce, in theory, that then conflicts with their ability to be eligible under the solar exemption. Because now you're saying they don't produce. So there's a little bit of a tug of war there. So I just want to point that out. It's not necessarily a huge thing, but there's a little bit of a tug of war there.
Yeah, yeah. And transmits to what?
Transmits to the grid. It's as written.
Grid.
It has to be sold and transmitted through the facilities of a transmission and distribution utility, which in layman's terms means basically it hits the grid. So
go ahead, Representative Carmichael.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So if this expands the Betty to just the battery storage, or is it? I mean, you mentioned a second ago more about it being expanded to any kind of storage. Is it more targeted or is it not more targeted?
Well, it's already, I mean, you know, if you are building a storage unit farm, we have a couple of those here in Gorham too, where you can put your car or your couch or files or whatever. Those can be part of the Betty program. Those qualify in that, you know, they could qualify if they were to ask for exemptions to build that stuff.
Currently?
So, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
That was my question, whether it's something that was current or whether it was an expansion, so we'd know what kind of fiscal note.
Well, yeah, no, currently storage units, you know, if you were to like drive down the street and see a storage unit, it could qualify for a Betty exempt for Betty. Yeah.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Representative Bickford.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In happily keeping this to tax, we get into a lot of discussion about generation and transmission. And by looking at this through the tax lens, let's look at sales tax. Everywhere in the state, we collect sales tax. The businesses do not transmit that tax to the state. They remit that tax to the state. These battery operations are taking in electricity from the grid and remitting it back to the grid. There's no transmission involved. So I just want to clarify, that's my understanding of what this process is. Remit.
Remit. Yeah. Go ahead, Representative Stetkes.
Nice.
Thank you. So, you know, this might sound like I'm kind of going off the rails here, but it does actually circle around. It does apply to tax, and it's mostly because of my experience in my area. Maybe Mr. Lacy can address this a little bit. When he talked about solar exemption, what we're finding is the solar exemption it's an exemption from personal property tax on the equipment if the facility is a certain size or smaller. Is that correct, Mr. Lacy?
Yeah, well, so in order to be eligible for the solar exemption, it either has to be part of a net billing arrangement, which has limits that the PUC puts onto the 5 megawatts, correct? Or it has to all be consumed on site. And if it's all consumed on the same site, there is no real megawatt limit. So you could particularly have a bigger project as long as all the electricity is getting consumed on site and isn't hitting the grid. So.
Okay, so that brings me, my concern is, and hopefully there's some answers to this, because, you know, I very much like to support this. My concern is that, much like what's happening in my area with the solar farms, these investment corporations are staying just below the what would be the minimum, I get, or the maximum for the exemption, and they're using property within the towns that would normally generate you know, property tax in another way, or even personal property tax, and they're multi-million-dollar facilities that are exempt from personal property tax. So on the state level, we're dealing with tax, and whether we're collecting tax or those sorts of things. But on the town level, the locals are, for lack of a better word, they're getting screwed out of personal property tax. The guy that lives next door to this multi-million-dollar project is paying personal property tax on his mower and his farm tractor and those sorts of things. So I'm just concerned about these types of projects conflicting with some of those things on the local level, and hopefully that doesn't apply, but that's where my concern comes from.
Thank you for that, Representative Stetkis. I'm not seeing any other hands up. That Dr. Allen had asked till the middle of next week to table till then, if we can, to give them a little bit more time. I don't know if that's what folks would like to do or not, but Representative Hanley, you got your hand up.
Yes, I would like to second the motion that's about to take place.
I make a motion to table till next week.
Motion by
I
Representative.
second that motion.
Motion by Representative Bickford to table, and seconded by Representative Hanley. That's not debatable. So unfortunately, Representative Collins, you got your hands up, but we can't.
I wanted to third the motion.
All right. So we can't discuss that, but so we'll now vote. All those in favor of the motion to table, please signify.
Thank you. Unanimous of everybody here.
All right. So we'll now close the work session on LD 2030. We've got one more bill. Don't have the number in front of me. I think it's 2010. 2010. Yeah. So we'll now go into work session LD 2010. This is Senator Jackson's bill. We'll let Julie walk us through the analysis on that. And in the meantime, we can promote Senator Jackson and bring him in. That would be helpful. And see if I can do that. I'll try to promote him now.
I just did. I'm just waiting for him to come over.
I can just maybe say briefly, this is the bill, as you mentioned, sponsored by President Jackson. It's a concept draft to establish a tax rebate program for certain electricity rate payers. It would provide a $1,000 tax rebate for residential ratepayers and a $2,500 tax rebate for businesses with high energy usage. And it was tabled on March 16th for the interested parties to work on details and a draft.
Great. Welcome, Senator Jackson. We're on your bill now, and thanks for being with us this afternoon.
Yeah, thank you, Senator Chipman, Representative Terry, members of the Joint Standing Committee on Taxation. I'm Senator Troy Jackson, and I appreciate the opportunity. I think we actually talked about this Wednesday too, where I had brought forward the concept of these medium general businesses category, and at the time I had worked with CMP and Versant about that, and it looked like there was like 13,000 possibly these members. We met for quite a while yesterday. I had someone being pro tem with CMP and Versant here in my office, and that number is actually getting whittled down because apparently in that 13,000, there's a group of people that have gone through this competitive electricity provider category that didn't see the massive swing in electric rates. So at this point, it's looking like it could be, half of what we thought on Wednesday. And I was asking the CMP and Versant to come back with two different proposals. One that did the same thing we talked about on Wednesday, gave the credit to everyone in these categories, and another one that if you had a much higher usage than even the ones in this one, you might get a bigger credit, since we probably know now that we're only talking about half the amount of the people. So I reached out to both Versant and the CMP to be here today just to verify what I'm saying, but it's not ready yet. And that could be because one of the people that was working on it, I actually met over at the Civic Center today at the Maine Development Foundation event. So she wasn't able to put the time, but I think they're both companies are working at it. I think there's a real possibility of something good here coming for small business owners. But anyways, I honestly, Senator Chipman, Representative Terry, you know, I know that Jim Mitchell's here. I think he can explain it even better than I did.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being with us, Senator Jackson. And again, I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, apologies for the short notice on our work session and things around that I won't get into now, but glad you could be with us. And I did promote Mr. Mitchell. And is Mr. Cody also is he with the person? You know, James Cody. Yeah, I promoted him too, so he's here. Welcome, Mr. Mitchell.
Thank you, Senator.
Thanks for being with us. And Senator Jackson just went over, you know, as you probably heard, the numbers have gone down in terms of who would actually need help in this category. I wanted to ask about is there a way to identify residential people that have been hit with really high bills but didn't get any help from the $90 credit the governor put forward? Do you know if there's any way to do that?
Yes, again, just for the full committee, Senator Chipman and Representative Terry, members of the committee, Jim Mitchell on behalf of Central Maine Power. So there has been, as you are aware, Senator, a program that was implemented where $90 credits were issued to a discrete class of customers that were defined through other aid programs. And so it wasn't up to the utility company to identify those customers. Instead, state agencies provided the addresses and likely meter location for those customers. And then CMP and Versant were able to use their billing system in order to provide those credits. If there were an objective of the committee and the full legislature to find other residential customers who are impacted, it is possible. It's a fairly extensive exercise. I think that what Senator Jackson was focusing on is two things. One, you have some business customers who had supply prices. And again, as was discussed in your last work session, CMP and Versant, no transmission distribution utility entity in the state of Maine can produce, generate, or sell electricity. They can only deliver it. And so the supply price was set by other entities through the open market, and they bid for the standard offer. Residential customers throughout the states are a plus 80% increase in their supply prices if they were in part of the CMP or Versant territory. At the same time, medium general service customers, if they were taking the standard offer, saw rates that almost tripled during that same period of time. So I think the president, I certainly am not speaking for President Jackson, but what I heard from him yesterday was his motivation was to find people who are particularly affected by that very large increase, who are substantial users of electricity, and therefore asked us to focus on a particular rate class defined by the Public Utility Commission rules called medium general service. And as the president indicated, there are approximately 13,000 of those customers, 11,000 roughly in CMP territory and approximately 2,000 in Versant territory. But if you eliminated customers who had competitive energy providers who typically would get low rates than under the standard offer, it would bring that number down to closer to 5,000 or 6,000, we believe. Is that helpful, Senator?
Yeah, that's helpful. Yeah, I know at one point we were thinking about trying to help residential too, but it seems like we're more in the direction of you just clarified, the small businesses that are in this category. And you just said, I believe that it would be harder to, very, very difficult to identify residential people that were hit with higher bills because that credit was information provided by the state. Whereas, you know, for you guys to go through all of your residential customers and try to figure out who got hit with high bills would be almost impossible, maybe.
Well, I don't know about that. I think it's possible. It's a computer programming issue because the issue is across, we have approximately 575,000 residential meters in CMP territory. And so ascertaining among that universe of 575, who's on the standard offer, who's on a competitive energy provider, did they get the $90 credit or not, who would be eligible within that matrix of customers would be fairly complicated. And I'm not saying it's not possible to do it. I'm saying it's complicated and would take some time. But if the legislature direct us to do it, we will do our utmost to do it.
But it sounds like it's about 500,000 residential customers just in CMP territory. And if we check out the ones that get some other type of supply other than the standard offer, you're still left with probably, I think a majority of people do take the standard offer, is my understanding. So you'd still be talking about a pretty large number at that point. And if we look at Versant too, I mean, it would be probably too big to provide much of a credit to, it seems like. So, but appreciate that. Questions or discussion from the committee? Representative Stetkis, go ahead.
As I go to click the button, they move my picture. Sorry about that. I get a question for anybody that can answer it. I'd be curious to know, are there recent policies that have come out of Augusta state government that has exacerbated the spike in energy rates in recent history?
Is that a question for Mr. Mitchell or?
I'm not sure who could answer that, but are there policies that have come out of Augusta recently that have compounded the situation that we find ourselves in as far as rates?
Yes, but it's not an easy linear argument to make. So I would suggest the following. The PUC recently provided, through Chairman Bartlett, a report on the potential future problem for electric ratepayers in Maine from the distributed generation, particularly the net energy billing projects. Net energy billing tends to be looked at just through the numbers, a higher than wholesale price source of electricity for electric consumers, because the net energy billing entities get the so-called bundled rate, both the transmission and distribution plus the wholesale price of electricity, and they're paid that amount. And therefore, if you are looking at the differential between that delivered price of a kilowatt hour of electricity versus what's delivered from a grid scale solar, wind, or a hydro facility or a gas-fired facility, those have price volatility on an hourly basis, but they're typically substantially lower than that bundled price that a net energy billing entity would be delivering electricity for. That is correct. James, I don't know if you want to expand on that.
Do you want to add to that, Mr. Cody? Since you're with us, so welcome.
Thank you all. James Cody from Bernstein Shore, representing Versant Power. I would generally agree with Mr. Mitchell on those points. And maybe just, in the lens of looking at this specific legislation that President Jackson has brought forward, maybe just also note that in those scenarios, Representative Stetkis, where costs may be increasing based on policy or policies from the past, I think in some ways we'll know more about those cost implications in the weeks and months to come. But as I understand it from Senator Jackson, we're sort of looking at some shorter term relief and focusing more on the increases that we've seen as of late in the standard offer increases. So I'm not sure that this specific bill would necessarily address sort of those bigger policy conversations. But this one is a little bit more finite and targeted to what folks are dealing with today. And I don't mean to speak for Senator Jackson.
Could I just follow up with that, please?
Sure, go ahead.
So my concern is with the past policy, it seems to me anyway, in part, what we're running into is past policies that were sold as they may be an increase to the ratepayer are now becoming an increase to the taxpayer, because the taxpayer, of course, the taxpayers are going to be receiving some of this relief, but it's tax dollars that are being sent to the taxpayer to cover the rate increases. And I would believe that if these policies were brought forth over the last 2 to 4 years that it was going to be a tax increase as opposed to a rate increase, I think the outcomes might have been a little bit different. So this, and I could be completely off on this one, but this really feels like a bait and switch to me. And that, so hopefully somebody could change my mind on that, but that's how I'm looking at it at this point. Thank you.
Go ahead, Senator Jackson.
Sure. Well, I don't know, since the policy I think that Representative Stekis is referring to was a Republican-sponsored bill by Leader Dana Dow. I'm not sure, what the bait and switch was. I mean, we maybe all were wrong in the policy. I think if we're going to correct it, then we can correct it in another matter. But what I'd also like to have asked is from, Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Cody, is if the cost of natural gas had anything to do with the increase in electric rates, and was there anything that Maine did that actually made the cost of natural gas go up significantly across the country?
Mr. Chairman, would you like me to?
Go ahead, Mr. Mitchell. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So clearly, because in the New England region, natural gas is responsible for roughly generating 55% of all the electricity across the course of the year. So natural gas pricing is the major driver for the increase in the standard offer pricing for both residential as well as non-residential customers. And that's the case for both standard offer recipients as well as non-standard offer recipients, because natural gas facilities are essentially price makers and not typically price takers. There is an argument to be made, and I don't want to get into a debate, and I don't represent the battery developers, but there is a substantial differentiation between grid scale storage and solar versus very small scale. Grid scale actually is competitive now with natural gas at 3 cents or so a kilowatt hour under the most recent procurements that the PUC has conducted. And that includes large storage, like what was being described previously. And again, that's not my issue to deal with, so I don't want to get off topic, but I did want to point out there is a difference between the size of these facilities and how much they deliver the energy into the system for. That's an important differentiation, I believe.
Okay. So would you say that the increase we're seeing in electricity, the cost of the electricity is almost all due to the increase in the cost of natural gas, or is it because of policies passed in Augusta?
So I think PUC was quite plain. The principal cost driver was the very substantial forward market pricing of natural gas that drove suppliers to have to hedge their potential risk for supplying the standard offer amount in a way that was going to be feasible. Obviously, what happens here is you lock in the standard offer price for, I believe, a year's time. If you're on a large scale competitive energy provider arrangement, typically their price for a medium general service customer varies month to month. And so as natural gas prices come down in the coming months, those prices to consumers will come down. The problem is medium general service customers are really hammered in January, February, when gas prices were extremely high and their supply bills tripled in that period of time. And if you use 150,000 kilowatt hours of electricity at your dairy farm in a month in January, that is a very high price to pay, which is what I think the president was seeking to respond to.
All right. Go ahead, Representative Bickford.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Mitchell, I was really surprised because I haven't looked at it for a number of years, but I was really surprised. I had never seen medium standard offer have a monthly change like it did this year. It had really high January, February, and then it went down significantly for March, and it goes down even more for April and even more for May. Is that a new thing?
I agree with you, Representative. I believe it is a new thing. And I'm actually trying to get more data about that from CMP, because I was surprised to learn about it as well. Typically, there's a longer lag time between declining natural gas prices and the similar reduction in electricity prices.
Yeah.
The volatility of natural gas, both because of pipeline constraints into the region, that's a major problem for us as a region, and because the wellhead price, wherever the market hub is very, very high right now in Jan, Feb, and early March.
Thank you. And Senator Jackson, can you confirm to the committee that maybe you can have this ready to go by midweek next week for the medium generation customers?
I think Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Cody could confirm that we'll probably be ready on Monday. I could be wrong, but it seems like we were pretty close yesterday, but they needed to do some more digging into it. I mean, I think what was, I appreciated was that it could be less people, and we were actually going to affect ones that actually saw an increase. According to Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Cody, there's some people in this medium general services that maybe don't operate in the wintertime, and so they didn't see the massive increase because they just weren't using electric like they would in the summertime. And so it would seem appropriate, especially since it's taxpayer dollars, to make sure that it goes to people that we really do want to target.
Thank you, Senator.
So, Mr. Mitchell, the medium users that we're talking about, this group of 13,000 that we think it's now down to 5,000 or 6,000, are they still seeing high bills now, and would they still be seeing high bills in the next foreseeable future, or are their bills now going down because of what Representative Bickford just mentioned?
If you're on the standard offer, your bill will not be going down, as I understand it. If you're taking electricity, which roughly half of the medium general service customers would take electricity from a CEP, there's some likelihood that your price will be going down in the coming months if you had a month-to-month arrangement and not an annualized arrangement. And there are huge numbers of them all over the place. So,
yeah. But what we're talking about now is this number of 5,000 or 6,000. Those are just standard offer medium users that saw a huge increase, as you mentioned, tripled in some cases across their bills, and that's going to stay high for several months in the future, right?
Could be, but I don't know if the PUC contracts for that size customer over the course of a year or a shorter duration. I've got to find that out.
Let me just add to that, Senator, Mr. Chair, let me just add to that. If you look on the PUC website, the standard offer for medium users went from 22 cents in January and February to 13 cents in March, down to 9 or 10 cents in April, down to less than that in May. That was what I was just speaking about with you, Mr. Mitchell. And yes, it's published. That's the published price, standard offer.
Right.
Thank you.
So I guess I'm confused. So the 6,000 we're talking about trying to help with this are seeing their rate go down now?
Yes.
So we're basically trying to help them for what they saw in the wintertime, but not for what they're going to experience in the summer?
Correct.
Okay. And then Senator Jackson had mentioned this other group of electric customers, like larger users, possibly helping them. What kind of increase did they see, Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Cody, compared to the small or the medium users? Did they see huge spikes where their bills tripled as well, or did they just see more modest increase?
Thanks, Senator. I mean, that I think probably deserves a more detailed response than the one I'm able to provide you. I would say, I think it's safe to say that every user has seen sizable increases, but with some of those much bigger and industrial users rely on a number of programs and service providers to be able to receive that electricity. And without knowing what those are, I mean, I would hesitate to answer what we're looking at in terms of scale and scope.
Senator Chipman, when I said that, I was talking about people that were within the medium general services category that had higher amounts than some of the others. So there's a chance there to maybe have a tiering effect. Maybe that's not going to be what the committee chooses to go with, but my hope was to bring back both proposals.
You're talking about, we're talking about the same, either proposal will be talking about the same group of people, but the question is whether to tier the relief and provide more relief to the ones that had the higher bills compared to the ones that had the smaller bills. increases?
Yes, and the theory was that we were probably dealing with half the amount of people that I believed on Wednesday. So maybe for the same amount of assistance, we could make it more reflective of what they actually saw for the increase across, I mean, understanding very well that, we're not going to make people whole, understand that. But, we might be able to do something that helps them basically based on the size and the amount that they've actually used.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think it makes sense to help people, give more relief to people that had the higher bills and less relief to those that had the lower increases. If we can do that with a tiered approach. I guess the only other question I had for either Mr. Cody or Mr. Mitchell is this category we're talking about. I mean, is it fair to say they saw much more of an increase compared to any other category of electric customer? I mean, is that sort of what we're talking about? Like you mentioned, Mr. Mitchell, the other day when you spoke, a lot of the bills tripled. I mean, is that much more of an increase or spike than what other categories of users typically saw?
Yes, as Representative Bick pointed out, I think in January, their price was about 20 cents per kilowatt hour for supply versus a residential customer was about 11.6, I think in the CMP territory, maybe 11.4, I can't remember. But yes, a very substantial increase over many other customers. That is correct. I did want to point out, just for context, if I may, Mr. Chair, that the president was talking about the tiering. So, for example, for all 13,000 medium general service customers, or 11,000 medium general service customers for CMP, the average usage is 49,000 kilowatt hours per month. But the highest users in January were over 300,000 kilowatt hours per month. And so you can see there's a large variation among those customers. And I think what the president asked us to do was look at a tiering approach, which is like over 150,000 kilowatt hours, over 75,000, over 50,000, something like that, just to give the committee that option. I hope that's helpful.
Okay. And these medium service customers have seen much higher spikes than other type of business customers too, not just residential, but other type of business categories too?
Yes, I'm not sure how many classifications the PUC has for non-industrial, non-residential customers. I'd have to, I can't say that with absolute certainty because there are a number of other categories of customers.
Okay.
I would agree.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cody, did you have something?
Sorry, I might have cut out. I was just saying I would agree with that.
Okay, excellent. Go ahead, Representative Bickford.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to ask Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Cody, a medium user, would a medium user really be using 300,000 kilowatts in a month? It sounds like that would be a large user. I sold electricity back in 09 and 010, and medium users I saw were generally under 150,000 kilowatts a month for a medium user, not a large user.
Yeah, I think that's correct. But
okay.
I got a data point the other day from Linda Ball, the VP for Customer Service, and I'm pretty certain that the largest customer used slightly over 300,000 kilowatt hours in one particular month. So, of course, as you know, it goes up and down.
That would be a rare anomaly that way, right?
Rare.
Very rare. Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions or discussion from members of the committee? Representative Terry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just so I'm clear, I think I heard Senator Jackson say that you think you guys can be ready on Monday with some language for us to look through.
Well, yes, we're going to.
I know Jim's doing the work, so definitely he can answer that.
A long time ago, I was a civics teacher at Ellsworth High, and I never assigned homework to the kids over the weekend. But apparently, the president is indifferent to my weekend. But
so is the chair of the committee.
the principal person responsible for this, who actually knows what she's doing, is a woman named Linda Ball, and Linda has to be out on a family matter Monday. We will do our utmost to work with Linda's staff to try to get things together. But if the committee could give us, and the president give us a little help to get to Tuesday, that'd be very useful for us. But again, we'll do our utmost.
Okay, that'd be great. I think the hope is that this committee can meet again on Tuesday in person all together, which would be so great. We've been given permission to meet during the day at one time or another to work through the rest of this, work through the rest of 2010 and 2030 as well. So that would be great. Tuesday would be great. I'm just asking mostly to see it ahead of time if possible, but yeah, as soon as you can, that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, just in light of what you just said, Mr. Mitchell, I mean, it sounds like you'd need at least till Tuesday. And so if we can meet as a committee Tuesday or Thursday, one of the days we're in Augusta, and when the amendments are ready on both bills, we have them to look at before we vote.
Yep.
I think that would be preferable to everybody.
Sure.
But any further committee discussion? Go ahead, Representative Bickford.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to make a motion that we table till later next week so they can work on this.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Representative Bickford, seconded by Representative Hanley to table LD 2010. All those in favor, please signify.
Thank you.
It's unanimous of all members present. So that concludes the work session on LD 2010, and it's the last of our business for today. Do you have anything for us, Representative Terry or Julie?
Just an incredible thanks to everyone for pulling this together so last minute. You are for sure the best committee out there, everybody on this committee. Thank you.
If you have something, Representative Collins, your hand's still up. You have anything for us, Julie? Are we all set till next week?
I don't think I have anything.
Right.
People will be presenting language to you on Tuesday, I assume.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the idea, I think, is if we can meet Tuesday, and Representative Terry and I can check in about language and make sure we have language. If we don't have language ready, then it wouldn't make sense to meet Tuesday. It would make more sense to meet Thursday, at least in my mind. I want to make sure we have the language. We can meet that stuff before we meet. So hopefully that can happen Tuesday, but I guess time will tell. Yeah, so thanks everyone. I echo the concerns expressed, the thoughts expressed by Representative Terry about thanking you for being here this afternoon, and sorry for the short notice and everything that went around with that, but glad we could meet, and look forward to finishing our work next week. So have a good weekend, everybody.
So we don't have anything Monday, right?
Nope, we don't have anything Monday. No, we just have session Tuesday, possibly meeting Tuesday afternoon as a committee in person in Augusta when we're there, and then session again Thursday.
Okay.
All right.
Just make sure. Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.